everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and we are back for another instalment of Unicorns in the wonderful book by Hannah Carlson, and that is Tales from the City Amongst the Stars. This is obviously in Swedish. So funny story, not meant to be filming this right now. We are in the middle of Storm Babette and our internet and our power is intermittent at best. So I've had to basically take the windows that I can in order to film. Yeah, so wasn't supposed to be filming this tonight, have ended up filming. It may or may not have had a few of the old Jack Daniels and Coke. So this should be interesting. I am going to edit this tomorrow, just in case. So here we are, we're back with our unicorns and we have our Pablo pencils. We're using Caran d'Ache Pablos, and the idea for this video was to tackle the final unicorn, get that done, and then next week we are going to finish off in a live stream, which I think is going to be a really nice way to round off what we have been doing, just for a little change. So I made the decision to pick up the colours from the mane of this unicorn as the body colours for this unicorn. Now the first thing I'm going to do is fill in the pupil of this one here, just because I've done the others. So I'm just going to grab a black fine liner, really doesn't matter which fine liner. Just make sure that I leave a little white highlight. And that just keeps everything consistent with what's going on over there. So the pencils that we're going to use to start with for the body of this unicorn, that would be our pinky selection that we've used before. So the colours are Rose Pink, which is 081. And we have a Ruby Red, which is 280, and finally Purplish Red, which is 350, and that's the one we're kind of using as our shadow colour because it has got quite a kind of purpley tint to it. So as with both of the other ones, I'm just going to go ahead with this lightest pink and get a layer down. Now interestingly though, something that we have to deal with this unicorn that we haven't with others is we have an actual hoof. See? Interesting. I don't know if you can hear Papa Jem in the background, but he's getting very animated about something outside the cave. I've had to shut the door on account of the fact that we are in a shared space with limited resources. Everyone's doing stuff at the same time. It's like being in the dark ages. I was about to say it's like being back in lockdown, but it's nothing like that. Because at least when we were in lockdown, we had all of our electricity and other amenities to hand on a fairly regular basis. Everything's so unpredictable, that's the problem. Okay, so we're back to this figuring out what parts are hair and what parts aren't. You guys know by now, not really sweating the small stuff with that. Do the big sections, worry about the rest of it later. It's not a thing. I think the silver paint that we were using, which was the Ezrin silver that we used down here for this, I think that's going to stand out really nice against this pink as well. Kind of looking forward to that. It's just kind of building up these wee sections here. Okay, we've got legs to deal with here. I can't see any hoof down here, strategically covered by tail hair, but we've got the rest of this leg to deal with, like so. I'm going to skip the hoof out altogether now until I decide what I'm doing with it. I'm not really sure. Don't have a clue what I'm going to do with it, truthfully. Not entirely sure what's going on here either. Oh, I actually don't. I don't even know what's going on here anymore. Oh god, we'll pretend that that's all wing. Yeah, look, there's a thick line there, so that might be the top of the back. Let's stick with that theory. Oh, getting there now. Okay, so I'm going to jump to my darkest colour now, which is the Purplish Red, and really establish those dark areas, a bit like I did over here. I was very pronounced with the dark blue. So let's do that then. Build up some layers here. There we go, and maybe under here as well. This might be a good spot to darken that down. Then we've got these contours that we talked about before. They don't seem to be as pronounced in terms of Hannah's actual line work here, which is fine. That's absolutely okay. Obviously we will do with it as we see fit. I'm being quite loose with this here, nothing to do with the Jack Daniels obviously, but we can blend out a lot of stuff with this is my point. So there's no need to be rigid or, you know, really regimented with what you're doing, you don't need to do it. So we'll do a bit of work around here. And as always, I just want to take a little section at a time. You don't need to do any more than that. And then we can go in with our middle colour, and basically we're just going to blend all this out. There might be areas where we feel we need to go back in with the lighter pencil, which is absolutely fine, obviously. These are quite interesting colours to blend together as well, because they don't necessarily go together, but that's okay too. They're close enough on the colour spectrum or the colour wheel to be able to do something with. So the likes of this section here at the top of the nose, kind of want to use my lightest pink here, so that's the pink, unimaginatively titled pink. Then round this eye area, just build up some layers there. I can go back in with my mid-tone here though. I'm actually really enjoying this combination of colours just because it is a little bit different. So again, this section here where I've gone quite heavily with just lines there, I can blend this out with my lightest pink now. I feel like this neck area we're just going to use the ruby red here. And again, just go over the entire area with the lightest colour. You see how nicely that kind of brings that all together. That's just blended that together beautifully. Areas where we need to preserve the lightest pink. Knee joint here. That ankle joint there. And possibly along the top of this front leg. And here. Down the front here as well, the chest. Mighty chest muscles. Okay, so now thinking about our darkest colours. Say we've assumed this light source is facing these animals head on, so that would suggest to me then that the darkest colour is around this part of this muscle here, because this was obviously rounded. And because we're using such an odd mid-tone, I'm wanting to go quite heavily here with our darkest colour. Woo! And again, maybe down in here as well. And then we can pick up our mid-tone. It's back to our ruby colour. Really get some contours here, so I'm going to leave that little white patch there and just work away with these two darker colours. Like, yeah, that's better. Looks pretty good. This part in behind here, this is going to be substantially darker. So what I'm going to do there is, if you remember our greyish black colour, which we used for darkening down our clouds, we're going to utilise that pencil again. That was the one I kept calling blackish grey. So that is just for your records to jog your memory. That is 008, that pencil. And just a light layer over here. And that is purely just to depict that it is in behind, that is in the background and not in the foreground. So if I then go back over that greyish black again with our purplish red, there's a lot of ish colours here, isn't there? This is what happens when you translate colours into English. There's a lot of issues. Not issues, issues. But you can see the colour difference there between those two. And that's just one layer of that grey pencil. So again, we'll do the same with this section. So I'm putting my darkest pinky purple colour down and then grabbing the greyish black. So it's quite a good idea here to keep a light pressure and go in circular motions, and it's just to get an even coverage. This is really one of the first movements you should be practising when you are new to colouring, because it's the easiest way to get an even layer of pencil across the entire page. And it doesn't come naturally, because when we were kids, most of us went like this to colour in. So, you know, although we all had a little shot at colouring when we were kiddos, not quite the same thing because we're grown-ups now. So that gives you a much more even base there, and you can see that's fairly decent. Like, in the grand scheme of the entire picture, if I just zoom out there, even if there's slight inconsistencies in that, you're not going to notice it because it's the background. That's the whole point. But you have to make sure there aren't glaring inconsistencies, or else someone will pick up on it. And it's probably going to be you. It's not going to be anyone else that's looking at your picture. It's going to be you. You'll know it as well. So with this section, because it's a slightly bigger area and because we have less shenanigans going on in front of it, I am not going to go the full weight with this greyish black. I'm going to bring it down in this bottom section. And then I'm going to leave this bit kind of lighter and then continue on almost like a shadow area there. And then I can go back over. So you'll see the difference this is going to make generally. We're already coming up to a lighter area, and it's just because I say is that there's more light going to be hitting this because there's more exposed area that doesn't have main the tail hair. Tail hair? Yeah, tail hair in front of it. It's looking more pink than grey. So working more on this leg now, I'm going to take my lightest colour. Just build it up slightly there. Really wanting to get the idea of this curvature as well, so although I'm using my lightest colour, and see I'm a couple of layers in that sort of semicircular shape, and then I can take my mid-tone, tilt this slightly, and run it along the bottom here. I don't want this to be the shadow colour. I do want it to look different from everything else though, so that's what we're doing. And again, heavy pressure down at the line work, and as I come up into the middle of this leg joint, just lighter and lighter and lighter till I'm almost not touching the paper. And then we can go from the top down with this lightest pink and just go over the top of this whole area again. Again, I kind of want to have a bit of a weird highlight down there, and it's just to show the fact that this is a conical shaped object almost. See, when you know the rules of light distribution and reflection, you can kind of break them a little bit, and I kind of enjoy doing that now. I haven't got a consistent line all the way down, but you can tell that it's there, and I'm happy enough with that because there's so much going on in this picture. Like, we don't need to worry about it too much. So I'm back in here. This is the ruby red again, so the mid-tone. I'm really struggling. Can you see how scratchy this looks here? I'm hardly touching the paper, and for some reason this pencil just does not want to do as it's told. Now, we've had this conversation a couple of times. It turns out it was Marigold that mentioned it, and it wasn't a live stream, and there just seems to be so many inconsistencies, and this is the first time I've found it, and it's in this Hannah Carlson book. But I do know that this light pink colour is a really soft colour, and it seems to be really good at blending out, so I'm going to kind of rely on that here. To smooth out this scribbly shenanigans that's going on in the top left here, on this shoulder joint. Scribbly shoulder shenanigans, there you go. Just because it really doesn't look professional at all. It does not look like a good finish. Better not put that in the thumbnail. The best of it is you'll know I'm going to put it in the thumbnail anyway. But yeah, that looks instantly better, so there's a little tip for you. I just want to zoom out and take a look at the entire thing here. You can see though the combination of colours when we're pulled out like that, we're pulled back, it's holding its own against this turquoise and also our yellow stroke mango unicorn as well, so that's good because it's really easy to treat this as like a separate page. We've got to remember that this is all joined together, so that's absolutely grand. Again, just like I did with the other ones, I want to have darker sections down here and under the belly. This will be much darker though just because of where it is on the page. So I'm going to go with the mid-tones here in between all this main hair. Main hair. I don't know why I have such an issue with that phrase, main hair. Like, what's going on in there? Who knows? Main hair just doesn't sound... It's just a mane. Everyone knows that a mane is hair. I don't need to say main hair. So we'll keep that relatively dark in there because obviously the hair's obscuring certain aspects of it. Big sigh from Pip. Jock and Pip are shut in the cave with me because of Papa and Mr. Jem's activities outside of the cave. Pip does not seem... Oh, no, I was going to say she doesn't seem happy about it, but she's absolutely out cold. She's fast asleep. So that's good. That's fine, as long as she's content. Jock's stomach issues seem to be improving as well. We did go out with the sole intention today of, well, number one, not getting blown away or having a tree falling on us, but for Jock to... well, just to do his business, because he hasn't had a bowel movement for a couple of days. I remember, if you remember in the last video, I did tell you he had a really, really upset stomach. So we've gone from one extreme to the other, which quite often happens. He's literally been eating rice. He's in very gentle, small portions. Not a lot happening, but now we need to get his bowel moving. So today was a case of we're staying outside until you've done something sort of idea. In the middle of Storm Babette, that's not the best idea. But we managed, it was okay. And we had a degree of success. So I think we're on our way, but because of that reason we're starting to introduce protein into his diet again. So Jock and I are going to partake in a little bit of boiled chicken tonight. How exciting. And that is what I'll be doing after I finish this video. Papa Jem and Mr. Jem have been left to their own devices this evening, which is fine, because they knew that I was going to have to try and squeeze in some filming. Because this is the thing, I've been playing catch up since I got back from Sweden. It's not just because I was away in Sweden though. I was really unwell before I went for, you know, like a couple of weeks. So I was actually behind before I went away anyway, and going away always puts me behind, and I know it's going to be a problem. So it's just been a doubly problem, which, you know, it's not really been my favourite thing in the world. And it seems to have taken me so long to catch up. But the other thing as well is where I'm trying to get started on Cavemas videos, like actually filming Cavemas videos. And I know that sounds absurd because it's not even the end of October. But in order for me to get my ducks in a row and do everything sensibly and still provide quality content, you know, and the normal videos, it's important that I spread it all out, because otherwise you're just going to be trying to spit out videos and you'll just be filming things for the sake of filming things, and that's not the point of it, and that's not why we do it, and that's just not, it's not going to get you anywhere either. So we want to avoid that at all costs, but it's just been a bit of a toil this last week or so, and I would really like it not to be. So you fling in a storm that dips your power in and out and whatnot. It's not helpful. I mean, we do without this for a wee while. Gone really over the line there. I might have to employ my Derwent battery eraser here. Probably not be able to take most of that away because it's quite a strong colour, but we'll try. This really needs the battery replaced in it. I've done not bad there. Okay, so not perfect, but that's taken quite a lot of that away. These are really handy. You get cheaper ones than this. This Derwent one used to be quite expensive, but I bought this years ago. Had it such a long time, and it's a fairly handy investment. Again, as before, lighten up that pressure the further north we go in the picture. A wee bit of that in there. Job's a good one. Now, I just want to kind of decipher what's going on in amongst these here, so I'm going to go with this mid-tone colour again. I just feel like it's a safe bet. I'm going to join that up there. I'm not sure if this is back or mane or feathers in there, so as I said earlier, I'm just going to leave little bits like that. I'll leave the conflict from where for a time when I'm a bit clearer of mind, shall we say. So I've got my lightest pink here now, and I just want to try and join this one. This is really odd. I'm not used to being mentally impaired like this when I'm doing things like this. It feels a bit strange. I think I would imagine it would feel like being drunk at work. Obviously, there are times where that's acceptable at Cavemas livestream, you know, when we're getting our donations in together. That's perfectly acceptable for me to be a bit squiffy then. Does anyone else remember the video where I was really high on painkillers as well? That was when I'd hurt my foot. I tripped over Woo. I was carrying a log basket and thought I'd broken my foot. There was that did, and that video did really well because that spawned the ridiculous comedy birds, which weirdly took off and did really well as stickers. They're still available in the Star Shop, by the way. So if you haven't seen the comedy birds video, I'll maybe link it down in the description, and you can check it out. That was funny. I was completely and utterly not taking seriously what I was doing, and surprisingly everybody wanted the artwork. I don't know if that says more about my state of mind or the artwork. But yeah, it's quite an odd feeling, especially now after all these years. You know, been doing this 5 years now. Generally I like to, I wouldn't say maintain an air of professionalism because I think I'm well past that point, but I've got standards, you know, and generally having not even being drunk, because I'm not drunk, but being impaired by alcohol is not really an acceptable workplace standard. I don't know. It just feels a bit strange as all. But it's like I've got some really weird rules though, because obviously in the cave I do my proper job in here too, and I do not let myself come to work in pyjamas because I feel as if you have to, like, especially because I've worked from home for so long, like you have to put yourself in work mode. And in order to do that, I mean, I can't, you know, I would never have gone into the office in pyjamas when I worked in the city, so why would I do it here? So it's very important to me on the days that I am working my proper job to step through the door of the cave in the morning with normal people's clothes on, that I could go outside and no one would give me funny looks. Like, that's just a thing. Normally, not right now, do, just because of the situation with the house. But under normal circumstances, I also do not let myself eat at my desk. I make sure that I leave the room, vacate the cave premises, and go elsewhere, because there was a point right at the start. See, when I started the stash shop, so the channel had been running for a wee while, but I was just getting the shop up and going. There was a point there where I was spending like 14, 15 hours every day, like 7 days a week, sitting at a desk in the cave, and it's really, really unhealthy. And I've worked super hard in the last year or two to get away from that and have a much healthier, you know, like work leisure time balance. And I don't think I'll ever have a normal people's like work leisure time balance, but it's certainly a lot better than it was. And I don't want to mess that up. But right now we've got nowhere to sit and eat, so we're kind of using the cave as a dining room as well, which kind of irks me a little bit, but it's only temporary. Okay, so I just want to even out this lightest layer now. It's very patchy. I say it's such an odd combination of colours, they don't necessarily go together, but they kind of work. I think I'm going to have to put a couple of more layers down, because the other thing about this is I'm doing this at night time, and although I've got the studio lights on and it looks really bright, there is no substitute for natural daylight, because I can see this is really patchy, and I had the same thing here and I've actually gone back over that, so I think I will maybe do the same. The fundamentals are there though, obviously most of the colours down. I will do a bit of tweaking perhaps in the daylight. So that'll do for now. Let's move on to the main and get that done. So I'm going to go purples, and I'm going to employ sort of the same tactic as I have down here, because it's a really odd selection of purples in this set of pencils. So the two pencils I've got here are Lilac, which is 110, and Mauve, which is 111, Mauve. And I'm also going to go back to the greyish black again, which we've already discussed. So the combination of the lilac and the greyish black are going to make up my darkest colour. And for now, I'm going to go over all of the main with the Mauve, which is a very pretty colour. This is a really nice pencil. Got a bit of a thing for Mauve as well. I really like the Mauve pencil in the Polychromos. That's my go-to pencils. Most of you will know that. For anyone that's new, the reason I like the Polychromos pencils, I know they're an expensive set of pencils. They just seem to behave well. They play nice with almost everything. That's why I like them. They're easily accessible to me open stock here in the UK. And yes, they're on the pricey side, but you can build up your collection as well, which is what I did. I would recommend these to anyone with a medium pressure who does a balance of like fantasy stuff as well as more realistic stuff, whether that's colouring or actual colour pencil artwork. They're just a really well balanced set of pencils. I can't fault them at all. They're long lasting as well, because they've got a bit of a firmer core than the likes of your Prismacolors. You don't replace pencils as often. Okay, I'm going to stop that there just so I can start working on these individual strands. So I'm going to go to the lilac now. And again, following on from before, hair tends to be darker at the roots. The same rules, well, the same rules do apply for horses, but there seems to be a lot more exceptions to the rules, and it depends on the actual colouring of the animal in other places. It's a bit like that with cows sometimes as well. But yeah, horse hair is interesting, but that doesn't necessarily need to apply to unicorns because, well, you're unicorns. So it's up to us what we want to do here. Again, as I did last time, I'm probably just going to go on a strand by strand basis, but I'm gonna zip through this fairly quickly because you've seen all this before, and this is what I was saying about finishing this off in a live stream. It's going to be much more interesting to sit and chat and shoot the she-hat because we've done all this before, and my conversation's obviously pretty one-sided here. So now that we've done the fringe bit, Australians say fringe as well. I'm going to go in with the greyish black and just flick out a couple of areas right at the root there and see how much that's darkening that down. It looks instantly different, really standing out. So we can play with each particular strand here. There we go, that looks better already. Let's have a little bit of light playing off these sections here to make this lighter in the middle. So I'm still using the lilac, I'm still using the darker purple colour, but I'm just not going ham with it. Leaving that little section there, because if what we do now is, see if we make the strand behind it much darker, it's going to pop out, yes. So it now looks like the strand that I'm colouring is tucked in behind, and this is being caught in the light. You can even pop a little bit of that greyish black down there just to really make that stand out. Yes! See where we're going with this. If you look at your own hair as well, if you've got more than a couple of inches of hair, take a look at your own hair and you will see that it is lighter at the ends than it is compared to your roots. So as soon as I get past this curve here, I'm going to move away from this lilac altogether and grab the mauve again. Keep that nice and light. Now up here, again just talking about our light source, this is going to actually be light even though it's at the root, because this is the part that's going to be seen and the light's going to be hitting off the most. So there goes straight out the window the rule about dark at the roots, because this is actually folded over as well, it's not the root of the hair. So I'm going to take the darker colour and I'm going to start it in the middle of the mane, just to be complicated. And I'm going to use a back and forth motion. That can be really dark in there because that's kind of tucked in again. We'll worry about that later. But this section here, just back and forth, following the arc of the line work though. And where it starts to bend the other way like this, that's where we're going to make it dark. So this is basically just contouring in a really subtle kind of way. And again, might even just pop a bit of the greyish black in there to make it, you know, to give that more contrast. Like, yeah, definitely darker in there. And again, we'll grab the mauve just to tidy this up, make it look a little bit more even, the underside of these sections. So I want to make that a bit darker there because we've got this strand that's coming across like that. Just put a little line of the greyish black there. And again, feather it out, so let up on pressure the further away I get from that line. And just use the mauve rather than the lilac colour. Just keep that a little bit lighter. Again, the ends here I want to stick more with the mauve. Maybe leave a bit of a lighter section and let the white of the paper show through a little bit there. Makes me chuckle every time that Mr. Jem and I have been together for like over a dozen years now, and it still tickles me how well he gets on with Papa Jem. They're like two peas in a pod, and I know they say you marry people like your parents, but it's really funny listening to them chatting away to each other. Just we're very lucky. Mr. Jem and I are very lucky because I get on with his parents. So I absolutely love his dad because his dad's just like an older version of him. So if I want to know what my husband's going to be like in 30 years, just look at his dad. It's really nice that I like it a lot. It's funny as well though because Papa Jem and I are so alike. Like we are like two wee peas in a pod. So I suppose it makes sense really when you think about it that Mr. Jem would get on with my dad. Gets on with my mum too, but he's just to say that him and Papa Jem are like thick as thieves. Right, let's put a wee line in there. Again, I don't want to go too heavy with this greyish black, and the key is to go back over it with your, you know, your colour, if that makes sense. Again, keep that highlighted edge there because that is going to see a lot of light. This section here seems to be tucked in behind, so I feel like that's going to be a lot darker. What in the devil is going right? I don't know what's going on there, but it's all going to be purple. Me making it purple. Oh, I'm back to scratchy pencil again. Can you all see what's going on there? I don't know that you can. Let's zoom right in. Can you see those scratchy lines there like this? We don't want that. That's not good. See, now I'm in danger territory here because I'm not sure what belongs to the wings and I'm not sure what belongs to hair, like in behind the strand that I'm colouring. So we're just going to go easy here a little bit. Don't want to get too overexcited. I mentioned in the last video that I was getting a bit of My Little Pony vibes, like at 100% in full-blown My Little Pony mode now. The thing is, I was talking to someone about this the other day. We were having a bit of a nostalgia fest. I don't ever remember watching My Little Pony on TV as a child, but I remember having the toys, and I remember having the lunchbox, and you know, like all the kind of bits and pieces. But it's weird that I don't remember a TV. I don't even know if there was a TV programme. There might have been. There was a song and everyone made up like different words to it. Because obviously there was like the rude version now when you're 5. That's not that rude. But it went, My Little Pony, skinny and bony, went to the circus and farted on purpose. But it was to the tune of My Little Pony, which from my recollection was only in the adverts. But I don't know, I might just have a selective memory. That was a very, very long time ago. So I'm not sure about it. If anybody has any better recollections of that, pray tell, please come into the comments and let me know. Okay, I'm kind of enjoying that massive strand of hair. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one here. See, we've got all this in here, and really what I want to do with that, because it's definitely not wing, I don't really want it to be the unicorn's back, because it's going to make it look very, I don't know, misshapen, and it's going to make its mane look very thin as well. I want to retain that sort of thick wild fullness. So I think by default I'm going to go with the greyish black and the darkest colour. See that? See that might have been feathers in there. I might have no, because there's the. Never mind. I kind of don't know what's going on in here. I don't know what's going on in there anymore. I can see this part really easily. Definite strand of hair. Definite. Sometimes it's better to work from the tip back the way, you know, you can figure things out a bit better. Is it a bit clearer? I think I'll put a little bit of the greyish black just in behind the wing feathers there. I think that would probably look okay in there too. A lot of this is just judgment. And obviously, like, I haven't planned this, but I'm quite confident in my motions and my movements here and my decisions. See if you're not, that's okay. Because you've got to remember that I've probably coloured a substantial number of colouring pages now, full stop. But pencil is also my medium. So aside from the fact that I've done a lot of colouring, I've done a lot of stuff with coloured pencil. I've spent a lot of time with coloured pencils in my hand. If you do not have that confidence, that's okay. Take your time. You're not on a deadline for finishing your colouring page, so take your time, walk away. And a lot of the time, and I say this quite often, but I find it's true, and the analogy I use is the jigsaw analogy. If you have a massive jigsaw that you're doing, and you kind of tire of it, you know, you've put some pieces in and all of a sudden you've got like piece blindness and you can't see things that fit together, you walk away, don't you? And you go and, you know, do something else. But if you leave it on a table, because a lot of people don't fold jigsaws away, you get these mats and you can roll them up, but a lot of the time they're sitting out somewhere and you might just be randomly walking past and you spy a little piece and you're like, oh, I know where that goes, and you just stop and you slot it in. Colouring works the same way. Step back and go back to it with a fresh pair of eyes. And quite often you can get on more easily than if you try and sit and plug away for hours and hours, because you're just basically fatigued. And I'm a huge advocate, and I do it with my drawings as well. If I seem to be slogging away and not getting anywhere, the best thing I find it to do is stop. And as a person, I find that very, very difficult. I am not good at stuff like that because it always feels as if I have to be hyper productive. I'm a very busy person, I can't waste time. And it seems counterintuitive to stop working, but sometimes it is actually the best thing to do. So if you are new to something, whether it's colouring or jigsaws, or even, you know, any other kind of, or maybe painting or whatever, don't be scared to stop what you're doing and just leave it be and see how it goes. I think I've actually cracked this because I think this tiny point here is splitting up the background. I don't think that's actually main in there, so I am going to leave that like that. Look at that. Ooh. And you can see that this unicorn is holding its own with the other ones. So I'm just going to go and grab some metallic paint. I'm going to go and grab the oud for the horn. I think I'll probably do its hoof and oud as well. And we can pick a couple of really pretty pinky colours for the wings and get this wrapped up. So it's the next morning. I am considerably less squiffy than I was last night. We do have workmen here today, so I'm going to try and eliminate the banging. This is just a chore from start to finish. I have touched up this unicorn a little bit as well, as I said last night. Just having better natural light sometimes lets you see things that you won't necessarily see if you're squinting, especially when it's later on at night and you're tired, or Jack Daniel's impaired, or a combination of all of the above. And my travels also found my little Halloween lights. I've got my little Halloween pumpkins here, so I thought we'd maybe get in the spooky mood, because it's not that far away from Halloween now, only like maybe 2 weeks, so I thought we would have that for some funsies. So now we're getting to the fun part, and because we're going to use some of Julia's shiny paints here to do the wings like we did on this side. So for me, there's really no choosing here. There's only 2 colours that I was ever going to use, and I'll show those to you. And one is Uni, which is this one here. This is named after one of Julia's parents' dogs, and Uni is actually my spirit animal. She's my very favourite, and she was the one that came for cuddles all the time with me when I went to visit. The other colour I'm going to use, the shadow colour, which is still a shimmer, is the one next door, which is Amortentia. And yes, that is from the Harry Potter potion-inspired set that Julia did a while back. So it's these 2 colours here, and that's what we're going to get going with. I had a wee look for my little weeny zero brush and I couldn't find it. I have found a number 2 though, so it's the same range, it's the Sea White brushes. Again, sell this one in the stash shop too, but I can't even find my number 1, but I can find my number 2. So might have to go gently with this today, but we'll just see how we get on. It'll not be a problem. I had to do a bit of palette rearranging. That is my shimmer palette full now. There's no more spaces left in this palette, so I'm going to have to call upon my backup palette if Julia keeps bringing out paints. So I'll start with Uni, and we'll get some of this done. So I'm going to do what I did before and kind of alternate my choices in terms of the actual feathers that I'm painting, and then we'll get the ones in between with the darker colour. Again, it doesn't have to be an exact science, I just want that idea of movement in the wings. Now, this uni pigment is really shiny, like it's super shiny. So I feel like we're going to get on good here. I feel like we're going to get on great. Ooh. Apologies for the knocking sounds. Literally through the wall from the cave, I can't do anything about it. I'm actually getting on a lot better than I thought I would with the number 2 brush here. Just having to be a little bit more careful. As I said though, at the end I think I'm going to tidy up the line work with a fine liner anyway. Probably do that in the live stream. I feel like I need to do this big one here as well. This is such a pretty colour. It's pretty just like Uni. Although unfortunately Uni doesn't have much going on between her ears. I want to zoom in a wee bit to show you this area here. I think this section in here isn't actually feathers. I think that is going to be the cloud in behind. Do you know that way? It's just popped out at me there when I was painting that bit, and yeah, I think that might actually be the open sky behind it. So I'll just kind of like mentally making a note of that for next time. I'll probably have forgotten about it by next time, but y'all can remind me because we'll be in the live stream. Got a wee bit too much paint going on there as well. I'm telling you, getting this video done, this is epic. This is like a mission. Normally my colouring videos are what I call my easier videos, because they're easier to film and they're easier to edit because you're just following everything on in a sequence because it's quite conversational. This has probably been one of the most awkward videos to film in a long time. And it says nobody's fault, it's just like a sequence of events. Storm Babette has definitely not helped. Right, okay. So this is Amortentia. This is a really intense colour. I actually think I've got too much on my brush here. I need to be a bit more careful with this one. But you can see that's not dissimilar to that dark purplish red colour we were using in the pencil. It's kind of halfway between that and the ruby red. Again, the best idea here is just to take your time. Oh, it's looking pretty already. I think I want that big feather there to be the lighter colour. So I'll have to come back to that. So at the moment you can pick up both of these paints from Julia's Etsy store. Just like I did in the last video, I'll leave the link down in the description. These are colours we don't currently have in the cave. We will be introducing colours every month at the cave until we have the full inventory of Julia K colours. But for the time being, unfortunately, if you'd like to get hold of these 2 particular colours, you will need to go to Julia's Etsy. Not ideal if you're in the UK, but I can only do so much. There, if I turn off that extra light, you can see how shimmery that looks. That looks so cool. Right, just finally before we finish up, I am going to take Oude. And Oude is this grey colour that's got the gold sparkle in it that we used last time. This is a little bit of a dark horse, pardon the pun. I'm going to have to be really careful on the unicorn horns here. I'm also going to have to let this soak for a little minute. The ones with the glitter pigment just take a little bit longer, because what happens is if you don't let them soak properly when you go to lift the paint, you end up just lifting the pigment and not the sparkle. So you've got to kind of let it soak in a little bit for a wee while. Oh. Yeah, there we go. So hopefully you can see that the actual shimmery part's moving about now as well. That's what we want. I'm going to have to go really easy here in the tip of this unicorn horn. We'll see how we get on here. Oh, bit of a tight squeeze. There, much easier in the bigger sections, much easier. I just love this colour so much because it's really understated, but the sparkle is definitely there, and that's kind of my thing when it comes to these types of paints. I kind of like the less is more look. I'm going to do this little hoof here as well. There we go. Uda, this colour here, this is available in the Stash shop. You can pick that up. You can also pick it up obviously on Julia's store as well if you're in the EU. Okay guys, that is it for today. I'm going to stop there. I am so pleased that we've got these unicorns finished. Look at those wings. Like, that's my favourite part of this, is definitely the wings. So next week we're having a bit of a change it up moment next week. I am going to live stream this video next week on Thursday, so the day that you would normally see it, and it's going to be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that is UK time. I'll post a little reminder up about it on the channel, on the socials, just to jog your memory. So if you are around on the Thursday afternoon and you've got time to drop in and join us, that would be great. But we're going to keep going until the page is done, so it's going to be a good couple of hours long, that stream. Obviously once it's finished it'll convert straight to a video, so you'll still get a video on Thursday anyway, just in the live stream format, and obviously a lot longer. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. Failing that, I shall see you on Sunday, and Sunday's video is a really good one. And it's not, we've kind of strayed off the path a little bit for Sunday's video, just for a wee change of scenery, so hopefully you'll catch that, and I'll see you then. Have a great day everyone, and bye for now.